Questions 6 through 10 on our CBA number 2, and we are going to correct the mistakes that we made. Number 6 is a word problem. It says Jamie's Algebra 1 class is playing a game of algebraic bingo. To play the game, the teacher gives them a table of values, a graph, or a verbal expression representing a linear equation in two variables. Students must determine the correct answer and mark it on a bingo card. The teacher gave the verbal representation y is 8 more than 5 times the number. That is important information. Make sure that you highlight that. The other part, the question part, says which linear equation, so I need to make a linear equation in two variables. I have to have two variables, is the correct answer for Jamie to mark on her bingo card. Now, we need to recall what these words mean. First off, when I go back to this expression, I know that I'm going to have a y, and this word is means equal, and 8 more means 8 plus, and then 5 times a number would be 5n. A lot of you got more than mixed up with this symbol, and that's not the case. So when we put all this together, we get y equals 8 plus 5n. Well, that's not over here. I could use an x or an n, it does not matter, so I'm going to change this to x. And then I can also move these two terms around, so I could get y is equal to 5x plus 8. And this is my correct answer. Number 7 says Raymond cut out a square from a piece of construction paper. The area, again, I'm going to underline important things or highlight important things. So the area of a square, and that's important to know that geometric shape, is greater than 25 square centimeters and less than 100 square centimeters. So it wants to know x, which of the following describes x, the length in centimeters of a side. So if we draw a square, we know that a square is going to have the same side length. And if you weren't sure that it's the same side length, then you could go ahead and use your formula chart. And my formula chart says that the area of a square is equal to side times side, or side squared. So what I need to do is I need to look at this and say, well, I know the area is 25 is side squared, so to get to one of those, I would have to take the square root, and I would get s here, and this actually becomes 5. So the smaller of my sides would be 5, and then I can do the same thing for my larger side. I can take the square root, again, I'll get to s, but the square root of 100 is 10. So my area is in, or my length is in between 5 and 10. A lot of y'all just said that it was in between 25 and 100, but this is for my area and not my side length. Number 8 says, which of the following shows domain and range? Remember, we've talked about domain and range, domain is my x, and range is my y. And if I have a graph like this, what I need to do is I need to box it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw vertical lines so that I can box my graph in. So I'm going to draw those vertical lines to box in my domain. So it goes down here to 1. It goes all the way to up to x. And because it's domain, I know I'm talking about my x's. And my range is going to go from here to here. which would end up being 2 to 6. So this would be 2 for my lower end and 6 for my upper end. Now I need to look at my dots. Both of these dots are closed in, so it can equal at any point along this line. So my domain and range would be these two equations. Number 9 follows the same pattern because I know that my domain is my x and my range is my y. So I'm going to box everything in again, and I can box this side in because it starts there, and I can draw another line right there because that's as high as it's going to go. But I cannot box this side in because it has an arrow. That means that it goes on forever. So when I see an arrow means it continues. Okay? So my smallest x is going to be positive 1. So all of my x's are going to be larger than 1. Well, when I look at this circle, it is not closed in, so I just leave it like that. My range, my y's, they have to be lower than this mark right here, which happens to be 9. And it can go all the way up to and touch 9. So I can say that its y is greater than or equal to 9. Or I'm sorry, not greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, because it is lower than that mark. Lastly, the last question says, what is the range of f of x equals x squared minus 6x plus 6 when f of x is defined by the domain? This is important, so highlight that. The domain is this. Well, all this means is that my domain is my x's, so I can plug in 0 for my x. So I'm going to start off by writing the equation, and then I just plug in 0 everywhere that I see x. So this will become 0 squared minus 6 times 0 plus 6. Well, 0 squared is 0, minus 6 times 0 is 0, plus 6. 0 minus 0 is 0, plus 6 is equal to 6. So I know that one of my values is going to be 6. And I'm going to follow the same pattern, but this time I'm going to plug in 4. So I will use 4 instead of 0. So I'll end up at 4 squared minus 6 times 4 plus 6. Well, 4 times 4 equals 16 minus 6 times 4 is 24 plus 6. Well, 6 minus 24 gives me negative 8 plus 6 gives me negative 2. So the other value that I have is f of x equals negative 2. So I'm looking for the answer that has negative 2 and positive 6 in it for both. Well, the only one that I have is this one, so I'm going to go ahead and write it just like that.